Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Roto's Questions. And today is going to be a fun subject, at least for me, and I hope for you as well. I'm going to talk about why I admire Tupac. And so, just to start off, I just want to make a little comparison. Tupac was killed at the age of 25. That's pretty young. I'm 28 now, and just to imagine being dead at 25, it's just crazy. But also, just think of this. I mean, if Malcolm X had been killed at 25, he would only be known as just a street hustler. If Martin Luther King Jr. had been killed at 25, he would have never gave his I Have a Dream speech or championed the civil rights movement. So just imagine what Tupac would have gone on to accomplish if his life had not been tragically cut so short. So just start off, like, even though he was killed at 25, he accomplished more than most of us will accomplish in our lifetime. Tupac was a workaholic. He was the best-selling rap artist of all time. He was a very successful actor. He even starred in movies with Janet Jackson, and he was also a writer of poetry. A lot of his poetry was released after his death, and because he gave his poetry work to, I can't remember who he gave it to, but he told them to release it after his death so that the public would also see that side of Tupac instead of what was just portrayed in the media as a gangster and a thug. And also, there's been several albums released by him after his death, and that just shows how much work he put in, and there's still tons of music that's been unreleased. So, yeah, Tupac was a workaholic. And all of these qualities are admirable in their own, but that's not the only reasons I admire Tupac. I mean, he was so much more than that. He was so much more than an entertainer and a rapper. Like, his lyrics were deep and meaningful, and they could speak to your soul and help people get through all kinds of situations that they're going through. I mean, listen to the lyrics of songs like Dear Mama and Keep Your Head Up. I'm sure those two songs alone have helped millions of people get through some rough situations in their own life. And in his music, he would always talk about creating a fairer world and a better world for everyone, not just black people, and not just for his fans, but literally for everyone. And this is what he truly believed in, what he wanted to create. And so, Tupac was far from a gangster and far from what the media portrayed him to be. Tupac, he took his rap music as entertainment, just like a Hollywood actor would take their movies as entertainment, as a job, as a role that they would play. He played the gangster role in his rap music, and then he would go home after making his albums, after his performances, and he's just a regular guy. He wasn't a gangster. It's just this, in the same way that Arnold Schwarzenegger plays a terrorist or some military guy that goes around killing people in his movies. He goes home at the end of the day and nobody calls him a terrorist and a killer and a murderer. What do? They elect him as governor of California. So why did the media demonize Tupac so much? Why did they portray him like that when he was just playing a role? And I think, to me, the answer is pretty simple. I mean, Tupac wanted to make change. He wanted to change the system. And when you go against the system, you receive a lot of backlash, and that was seen in Tupac's life. He was in and out of court all the time, getting charged with just crap, even being sued because cops in Texas said that his music enticed people to shoot cops. And just, Tupac played this role specifically because he wanted to appeal to gang members and also the black community, but more specifically to gang members. Tupac wanted to reach out to these gang members and show them who the real enemy was. He wanted to show them, why are we fighting each other? Why are black people killing black people, or Hispanics killing Hispanics, or whatever race? Why are they killing each other when they're not the enemy. It's like, and it's not even the government that's the enemy or the police that's the enemy. I won't get into who the real enemy is, but Tupac wanted to show them. He wanted to bring them together. He even helped foster a truce between the Bloods and the Crips. And Tupac wanted to go even further. He didn't just want to stop gang wars and that. He wanted to make gangs political. And with that would be very powerful. I mean, just imagine every gang member gave up gangs and took up politics. How different this world would be, because when they see who the real enemy is and when they want to start making a change, crazy things could happen. I mean, Tupac wanted to start his own political party, and I truly believe that if he had lived on, he would have started this. But in that same right, it's a very dangerous path to go down when you're going against the system and wanting to start a political party that people in power start to get scared, especially to Tupac, who had millions and millions of fans, not just black and not just white, but that spanned all different races and all different generations. He spoke to the people, and when he spoke, people listened, and this was very dangerous, which is why the two people I mentioned earlier were also killed, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. All right, and so, yeah, Tupac was an inspiration to just millions and millions of people. He continues to be an inspiration to people today, and he's been dead for almost 18 years. He would go out of his way to help people, even if he didn't know them. It's just the kind of person Tupac was. He had the biggest heart, and when he set his mind on something, he would go for it. And he didn't care what people said or what people did to him. He would just go for it. And just in one interview that I watched, in one of the documentaries about him, they were interviewing one of his friends. I can't remember which friend exactly. And he talked about Tupac when he was in his teens, his late teens, and that Tupac actually did sell drugs. And he did this for only a week. And the reason that Tupac stopped was because one day somebody came to him and wanted to trade their wedding rings for crack. And then Tupac was like, "What?" I'm like, this is so crazy. I'm like, is this how bad the world is, that things have gotten so bad in this world that people want to trade their wedding rings for crack? And he just went crazy. He was like, I can't do this. He's like, and so after that, he set a goal for himself. He's like, I'm either going to make this rap career work or I'm going to starve. And we all know what happened with that. He definitely didn't starve. So that's how big his heart was. He couldn't just take that ring. He wanted to make a difference, and he saw how bad things were. And so I think that was one of the turning points in his life, to where he just said enough is enough, and I gotta do this. And so I could honestly go on forever. I mean, just listen to his lyrics, listen to his interviews and his speeches that he gives, and read his poetry, and you'll get a little more insight into who he truly was. And just don't listen to the media and what they say. I mean, a lot of all that stuff was fabricated, especially the East Coast West Coast war. That wasn't really real. I mean, Tupac was from New York. The Outlaws were from New York. Tupac loved New York, and New York loved Tupac. So just, that's all a bunch of BS in my eyes, and the media lies. I wouldn't really believe anything you read or see in the media, because who owns the media? The same people that own the government. So yeah. But anyways, in short, Tupac was not a gangster. Tupac was a soldier. And there's a big difference between a gangster and a soldier. A soldier fights for a cause and for his people. A soldier never gives up and leads by example. A soldier is willing to be the first to rise to the occasion and lead the people into battle. A soldier is even willing to pay the ultimate price and lay down his life for what he believes in, so that people don't have to suffer anymore, and so that they can have a better life. And this is exactly what Tupac did. He laid down his life for what he believed in, and he died fighting for what he believes. So Tupac was a true soldier, and that's why I admire him. He inspired me to fight for what I believe in and go for my goals, and his lyrics have helped me in many rough situations. I always go turn on a Tupac album. Like, yeah, it's real. He's talking to you and your soul. Like, what he says is real, even to this day. Like, he's been gone for so long and it's still so relevant and so real. So yeah, so he lit a fire in my soul to just believe and fight, and he was a wonderful example of what a real man is. So rest in peace, Tupac, and I look forward to hearing more of his music and listening to more of his poetry. And thanks for watching.